Alright, so today we have a new segment that's starting. It is going to be our Budget Hi-Fi series. So this is going to consist of 2.0 and 2.1 setups. They're going to be as budget oriented as possible with the mindset of getting your best sound for the best price. Featuring for our amplifier, we have a TDA7498E. It's by Fosi Audio or Fosi Audio. I'm not actually sure how to pronounce that. I did a little modification myself by just taking off the top cover to expose the heatsink, so prolonged playback, it's not going to get too hot and it actually can ventilate a little better than it would before, because it actually had a full metal case that surrounded the whole entire board. I didn't really like that too much, so I opened it up. Plus I like seeing the guts. And for top speakers, we are running the POLK Audio RTI 6s. They are really fantastic speakers. The POLK Audio RTI line is one of my personal favorites. This is one of the first sets I owned, and I've just absolutely loved them. And we'll give you a little sound demo to kind of give you an idea of what they sound like. Furthermore, let's kind of go over the specs of what we have here. So for the amplifier, we'll start. The power supply range is 12 to 32 volts, and I wanted to talk about that because this isn't the original power pack that came with it. I upgraded it to a laptop power supply because the original one didn't really have enough juice. It did I think 80 watts was the maximum that the power pack could put out. This thing could put out over 190 watts, so it kind of suits the amplifier better because the amplifier has a claimed 160 watts each channel maximum output. So if I had to gauge that personally, I would say it's about 60 to 80 watts of nice clean power each channel. Its frequency response is 20 to 20 kilohertz plus or minus 1 dB, which is pretty standard for most amplifiers. That kind of goes back to the whole high resolution sticker. If any amplifier or speaker can put out 20 hertz, 20,000 hertz, you can put a high res audio sticker on it. It's kind of funny, it's a joke. The input sensitivity of the amplifier is 280 millivolts. The termination impedance, also known as just what the speaker impedance that it can support, is anywhere from 2 to 8 ohms. I have actually tested that. It will do 2 ohms. It does get pretty hot, but it will do it. Output power, again, 160 watts times 2, maximum output. So yeah, that's really kind of it. The total harmonic distortion of it is actually less than or equal to 0.04%, so it has a great total harmonic distortion value. It doesn't actually list the dampening factor, unfortunately. It does have the signal noise ratio, which is greater than or equal to 98 dB, which is fantastic. When it comes to hi-fi audio equipment, you really want 90 dBs or higher of signal noise ratio. We really won't go into that too much for this video, but it's definitely something you want to look for. So further on, let's continue. For the RTI 6s, so these are great bookshelf speakers for hi-fi use. You're going to get a lot of great reproduction, a lot of great soundstage. I gave Chaz a demo and he was kind of blown away by them in the same way that I was. They are bi-ampable, so there are 2 speaker terminals on the back, so you can independently power just the tweeter or independently just power the woofer. It's up to you, so it really gives you the freedom to run 2 separate amplifiers, mix and match crossovers, things like that. So it's got 1 port in the front and 1 port in the back. The port in the back is its main port, which is the POLK Audio power port. It's their patented kind of diffuser that they use to naturally smooth out the path that the air takes out of the port. It just kind of helps with putting these up against walls. It gives you a little bit better bass reinforcement and things like that. But the other thing that I was talking about, the whole 2 port scenario, so they actually call that, let me see if I have it here, I believe I did. So they call it their ARC port, which it basically, all it does is it cuts down on vocal resonance. So by having 2 different ports and having them tuned at 2 different frequencies, you're able to kind of break any large peaks you may have in frequency response and things like that. So if you have any heavy female voice vocals or any heavy deep male voice vocals, They really tend to show what speakers are good and what aren't, because they will just vibrate the crap out of the cabinet if it's not made the right way. So POLK ensured that that won't happen by putting this whole 2-port kind of system into it. Really does shine with vocals being played at high volume. The frequency response is 50 Hertz to 26,000 Hertz at -3 dB. It has an 8 ohm impedance. The sensitivity on these are 89 decibels per watt per meter. So they're not terribly undersensitive, and they're not super sensitive in the fact that they'll pick up every little noise and nuance, but they do suck up quite a bit of power. You can easily throw 100+ watts at these things and they will just absolutely shine. Again, it notes that they can handle up to 125 watts. I definitely back that. Hi Nismo. It has real wood veneer, keyhole slot on the back for wall mounting. That's really it. I mean, that's kind of the gist of it. Now we're just gonna get to a sound test. So as you guys can hear, I mean, they sound phenomenal. The mids are buttery smooth, the highs are fantastic, it has great low end reinforcement. So again, this kind of wraps up our first initial presentation of our new Budget HIFI. Hello Nismo. You love doing this, don't you? You're so cute, I love you. Well, you can expect these videos to come out every so often. We're going to do them as much as we can. Very dependent on what kind of speaker finds and what kind of deals we come across. We definitely want to review more Chinese hi-fi amplifiers. They seem to be taking the market by storm, and we definitely want to review more bookshelf speakers. So stay tuned, guys.